Get ready for a major remodel, fellas. We're back in hardware mode.
What's that? Door. Oh, it's UPS man. Oh, never mind. Delivering me more filler primer.
Thought you were gonna say
I
more.
thought you said CPS.
Oh God!
They're here for the cats. They already heard you.
The CPS
My
man.
children are just fine. Leave my
starting?
son alone.
I just
I've been
assume we
recording.
start at some
Is this
point.
the start?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
leave my son
guess.
alone.
The CPS man is at Emily's door.
Yeah, we'll open it up with that. Just like, oh God, he's here. He's here for the cats.
Oh God, he's here.
Welcome everybody. This is Kanduri. I don't want to do the other names because I'll F them up. So.
Wiera's Court Shop.
Tierra, Kai.
I was just going based off of our things. Wiera's Court Shop. No one's
Brankley
gonna watch
Filt.
this. No one's gonna watch this if we sit here and do this. This is.
Brankley Filt. Ooh.
Oh, I don't like
Sounds
that
gross.
one. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one's bad.
I don't like that.
Wiera's.
Can you cut that?
Wiera's Kirk Shop.
No, these
Wiera's-
go in
Wiera's
unedited,
Kirk Shop.
Frank. We've already
Yeah.
got
Oh,
confessions in here. It's all
What's-
here.
Danny, wait! Oh my God!
Yes.
We need to get to the point. We need to get on topic, or else the guy is gonna come.
Oh
and
yeah,
get
that's right. I forgot.
much
If we
rambling.
wait too long to get on topic, then people.
so sorry.
People will get angry. Anyway,
What's today's topic? Are we gonna be talking about?
today's topic. I guess we can. It'll be.
That's how mad he's gonna be when he
preferred
realizes there's no
materials for
topic for
printing.
today.
I
The
actually
topic
did.
of today is that guy's comment. That's the topic.
No, so I was actually curious after seeing everything on Twitter, because a lot of builders ended up actually chiming into that on the whole like.
There's
PLA
a lot going
versus-
on Twitter right now.
There's what?
There's two arguments on Twitter right now. There's the material. It's not really an argument. It was just
The debate.
the thing that broke, right? The
Yeah.
debate. But then there's also what 3D Musketeer posted about the toxic community, that video and all
Oh
that
yeah, no,
whole side of it.
I'm keeping up to date with all of that.
It's,
I don't
we
know
can-
about any
yeah.
of it.
Okay, so well, yeah,
need to-
I was
Been on
gonna say
Twitter in a
too.
hot minute.
You know,
You
we
need to
have
get
to
on
kind
Twitter.
of preface
You need
it.
to get on.
We have to kind of preface it before explaining anyway for anyone that's listening. So, for those who aren't on the 3D printing side of Twitter, I guess there's been kind of two little, I guess I'll say debates. I don't really know a good way to describe it. That have been going
Discussions.
on. Discussions.
Discussions.
Yeah. They've for the most part been respectable, which is good. So one of them basically got started after, I think it was an Apex Legends cosplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a video. It's a video of a cosplayer at a
I
convention.
think it was Borderlands.
Is it
But go ahead.
Borderlands? One of the two.
I think so.
There's a video of a cosplayer at some sort of convention, and it looked like they 3D printed like a whole like a bolt action
gun.
rifle basically from the game for their cosplay. Oh, Emily, you are very fuzzy right now.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
It's fine. We vibe it
The
out here.
fuzz. It's the fuzz.
But anyway, yeah. So they printed like this bolt action rifle from it, and someone was taking a video of them and taking a photo, and they tried to do some some cool trick, basically like the Terminator 2, like swing the bolt action thing to cock it back and then catch it, and it looked like some part of the lever arm like broke off,
Just
and then
snapped.
the thing just fell on the ground and just exploded into a bunch of pieces, basically. Like, it looked like it was probably made on a smaller printer with a bunch of glued parts, or maybe just the file was broken up for details like that, and the whole thing just popped apart.
On the surface, I know Daryl was being funny about it. Like, he was just you know, he's that type of person, which is. But then there were definitely some people who were like,
There's some
really,
people that
like-
are trashing on PLA.
yeah. But like that's such bad context because you don't know how he printed it. If he had printed that lever arm standing up, stacked layer, then yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, you could break it with your thumb, but if you print, do I still have it? Oh my god! Oh my god! I still have it. These weren't printed standing up. If these were printed standing up, I'd be able to fold this in half.
Snap.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was printed flat. So every single layer is. That was very hard to do. PLA is very strong. It's actually pretty forgiving and fairly flexible. It just depends how you print it. And yeah, like, did he glue all the parts together with just super glue? Because plenty of people do that. They don't weld. They don't do interlocking parts or seams. they just print the piece, assemble it, paint it, and then they try to show off with it, and then it explodes.
So
yeah.
I do think it's I feel like it's been a long time. Honestly, I feel like since like PLA Plus kind of blew up, I feel like it's been a long time since people have honestly talked too much about PETG. I talk to Walsh about this all the time. We always make jokes about how we're PETG gang. And I mean, it's like these two things are PLA Plus, and then of course I'm hiding my super cool new chest. Like, this is all PETG. I know, I'm making things. Wow, guys, look. And then that beautiful staircase
I have
of a
that
failed
too.
print is also
The creations is creative.
PLA. I know. CTK is finally getting some creations. But yeah, I feel like as soon as PLA Plus kind of showed up, and Frank, I do blame you for part of this, became so incredibly popular for cosplay. Because people realized oh, you can actually sand PLA Plus, with a palm sander, and it doesn't
power tools
explode.
I cannot take personal responsibility for the introduction or the increase of usage of power tools in cosplay 3D printing, but I think I did have an effect. I don't know. Everybody was scared of it.
I can genuinely say
that was the thing, right? Because Danny, you've been in it for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say
PLA,
that was like I had been, I had already made like I guess 1.5 suits at that point, and the whole thing was like, you can't sand straight you can't go straight to the palm sanders on PLA. It's like, if you like do a bunch of coats of primer first, then you can start sanding down, but you got to be really careful.
It was because old PLA was dog shit. What it melted
It
at
was
what,
so,
like 160, 170.
No,
old PLA sucked.
It was never that much, but it was like 185 was the first one, 195. Like 205 used to be like the high end of printing PLA.
Yeah,
it was like the
now
default for
we're
most
looking
stuff
at
was 195.
230 is like average for
And
the height. Yeah.
for those that don't really understand what we're talking about, like this is also temperatures in Celsius. So jump saying, all right, PLA used to be 180, and it would print at 180, which meant its thermal deflection, or where it would start to heat and warp from just ambient heat, power tools, it's usually say about half. So 80, 90 degrees, cool. That's Celsius still though. Like, that's still pretty warm. But now when you start to increase to 200 Celsius, 210, 220, 180 to 210 doesn't seem like that much, but that's 50 to 60 degrees. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
Especially when you're now looking at the thermal deflection and tolerance of how much heat it can take in one spot. So yeah, if the PLA prints at 215 now, 430, 440 degrees Fahrenheit, that's hot. So your thermal deflection's now around the 180 to 200 range. Yeah, power tools, as long as you're not sitting in the same spot, you're fine. So it's small, but it's effective.
It was so brittle. My first suit, I fiberglassed the entire torso.
Same.
Because it was that brittle, which made it
Yeah.
ridiculously heavy. I know Danny knows, but like I fiberglassed the entire thing on the inside because I was like, this is gonna snap in half in 2 seconds. And now, since using the Polymax PLA, that stuff, they're not telling me to say this, but bro, that stuff is the strongest PLA ever. I handed Dan a piece the other day. I was like, slam this into the ground as hard as you can, and he chucked it, and it it didn't break. Like, the stuff is 10
All right, but can we talk about the causation and correlation of that though? Because it's not always just the material, it's your layer adhesion based on the temperature that you're printing at. Because whatever Creality printers come basically stock with, Sunlu PLA loves it. I mean, the layer adhesion I get out of that filament is disgusting, where the Polymaker, the Cos PLA, could I sit here and dial this stuff in? Yeah, like it's good, but the strength I still get out of Sunlu PLA Plus is disgusting. It is the strongest stuff I've ever used. and it has to do with the layer adhesion. And a lot of people want to go like, oh,
It can
infill
handle
makes it stronger.
overhangs pretty well, that's for sure.
It what?
It can handle
Yeah, it can
overhangs
do
well,
some
that's
wicked
for
overhangs.
sure.
Yeah, Danny knows. That's ridiculous. But people will be like, oh, to make your print stronger, use more infill. And it's like, that's not how infill works, because your infill still has layers too. Unless you're using something like in Bamboo Studios, and I don't know if Super Slicer has it, where you can do your adaptive infill, where it'll do your layer height at 0.2, but then it'll actually do your infill every other layer at like 0.4. So that will actually help stack and make things stronger. But normal prints, your infill still has layer adhesion. So if your layer adhesion sucks, it doesn't matter how much infill you have, it's still weak. So it's like the things no one talks about or teaches, but you kind of just learn over time. Like, no, your perception of infill and strength is wrong.
There's a lot of technical stuff that I feel like people misconstrued or don't understand. So I think the biggest thing is like what defines strong material, because the tensile strength of like PLA, especially like composite PLAs, is stronger than PETG.
Correct.
But people say
It's
PETG is stronger because it can take more of a beating. But that's because like it's less brittle than PLA. It doesn't have a snapping point. It's like if you push it past its point, it bends. It doesn't break. But it's not actually stronger.
You know my favorite thing to see on posts, 3D printing groups? This filament prints lighter. What? That's... What?
Lighter?
Oh, you've never seen those posts? Oh yeah, I got this new filament and this part printed lighter. There was actually a very famous former Iron Man builder person who's no longer around who had made a post something like that. Like he had switched over to a new filament and it's like, oh wow, I was able to print this, or he switched filament and files. Or no, yeah, he'd switched filament and said that the parts that he was now printing were light. Danny knows exactly what I'm talking about. The parts printed lighter, and they were. It's like that's not. It's a 1 kilogram of filament, and it goes by length. It has nothing to do with the material. And I've seen tons of posts. Oh, this part printed lighter. It's like, did you change settings? Because that's not how this works. That's not how material exchange in a 1 kilogram of filament works. So it's more like what Danny was saying, that kind of there's a lot of the little technical things and these fallacies people like convince themselves of, like, oh, it's so much lighter and stronger. I increased the infill by 5%, but infill doesn't take over an entire part. 100% of the inside of a part isn't infill. The spots where the inner and outer walls have gaps is infill, and there's all of this stuff that goes into it that people just don't understand when it comes to the structure of a print. If you put four walls on like the abs to one of these suits, you're probably not going to have any infill.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. Wait,
Kiera, I wanted to ask, what was, I guess, your experience with printing like props in PLA for the first time? Did you ever try out with other stuff, or have you always been mainly just PLA and then PLA Plus?
I've never used PLA Plus.
She uses PLA.
Yeah, I use PLA.
Wait,
I
you've printed all your
PETG.
stuff in just standard PLA?
Yeah.
I knew that.
I did not know that. What?
Yeah.
It's always been PLA. Recently,
What PLA do you
I had
use? I'd be
Sunlu.
Cat.
I'd be
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Sunlu standard PLA. Why not go the PLA Plus then?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's more
I
expensive.
just never did. It was okay. That's not true because there was at one point PLA Plus was cheaper, and I was just like, eh. I think I literally didn't choose PLA Plus because it didn't have the color I wanted.
Back when I
Even though
started
that doesn't
making
matter.
this suit, back when I started printing this,
Oh my
PLA
god.
Plus was cheaper.
Oh well, yeah.
I remember that.
Before the pandemic, PLA was the
Oh my
cheapest
God.
material, and then
amazing.
ABS. During the pandemic, ABS became the cheapest by far. Like Kenneth printed his suit in all ABS, and he told me he got it like
ABS rolls are so cheap.
it's like $15 a spool. Yeah.
I want to try that vapor smoothing thing that he's got.
I
that
think
looks pretty sick.
I think PLA Plus and PETG killed ABS because a lot of people used to print in
Oh.
ABS for strength, but you had to deal with the warping.
ABS
But-
has been dead for a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's strong, but is it that much stronger?
I think
I want
ASA
to start
was-
messing with ASA.
Yeah,
I have
ASA is,
a
I
roll
think,
of
the
ASA.
actual replacement for, like, because
Is
it's
it
literally
toxic?
target same temperatures. They targeted same mechanical properties. It is, I think, literally meant to replace ABS. It's still just more expensive.
I want to
Yeah.
print a whole boat out of ASA.
Why a whole boat?
Do it.
Just
I'm
why
gonna do
not?
it. Me and Dan have been chatting about it. We're like, we just go make boat. I'll fiberglass the inside of it. Why would it not float?
Okay,
You know?
hold on, wait. I gotta hop back for a second. Because I'm still not over the fact that Kiara's printed everything in just standard PLA.
But well,
Why?
Danny, think about it. Why would? Hey, she lives a little more up north.
No,
She's
I-
in
I-
way
I
colder.
I live in the cold.
I was gonna say,
She's in the
I was
cold.
gonna ask. You've never once had any issues with, like, warpage or part softening or anything. That's freaking crazy to me,
I-
dude. Because
listen,
I have
it's
PLA
like-
Plus prints that get messed up, like, in the car on a, like, warm day. Like, I had that Mando helmet that got ruined, and it was only, like, 78 degrees, and it wasn't in direct sunlight.
Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe California air is different because I've never had
It-
issues.
It is. It's full of people like Danny.
Shut up.
It's very different.
Californians.
I recently did a bunch of PETG stuff, which is like not as hard as people say it is, in my
It's not.
opinion.
Just strings.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I literally just ran out of PLA, so I'm like, I'm gonna use PETG, and I've been printing stuff in PETG, and it's like,
Have you sanded any of the PETG parts yet?
they're not pieces that I need to sand. They're more like internal structural things, so I just don't really care.
Because I printed a helmet in PETG because Daryl and Aaron and everyone, it sands so much easier, and I do not agree. I had it
I will
sanded exactly the
Fight
same
you
as my
to
PLA
the death
Plus.
on this. Then.
Danny's like,
I will
is my
fight you to
entire
the
build a
death,
joke
Ray.
to you?
Am I a joke to you? I don't. Maybe it was some loop PETG, I think, and I didn't notice a difference. It was really stringy.
I assume you sanded with power tools as usual. Or-
I tried by hand just to see because that's what. It's sand. You could just
Because
use hand
that
sanding.
that was my thing. It's why I did all my gauntlets in PETG. Because I first tried in translucent PLA and it did not sand well. But all of my
I can
PETG
see
gauntlets I've
the
sanded by
translucent
hand.
PLA is already janky to begin with every time I've used it, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
It's
like
brittle.
PLA.
It's very
clear
brittle.
PLA.
Yeah.
It's brittle.
And then after you open it, it gets way too much moisture in it way too quick, and when you try to use it again, it just snaps. It's
pop. Yeah.
It tints pretty bad over time too when it's in the sunlight. That's another reason why I've preferred the clear PETG. But okay,
also,
so,
the other thing people don't talk about when it comes to heat on prints, by sanding and priming and painting your prints, you're actually providing certain protection against UV and certain types of heat. Obviously, if if it still sits in a warm environment, it can still warp. But by putting certain paints on, paint will melt at a much higher temperature than plastic, and it'll deform. So you're actually making a paint shell around a lot of these parts, especially people who are using like HVLPs and hardeners and really high quality clears and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You're making a paint shell around your part, which also helps with its strength and deforming. It's a good thing. It's a good
okay.
thing.
Speaking of UV light, it was brought to my attention today. Could you tan yourself using a resin printer?
New YouTube video?
That's what I was saying. That's what
Um,
I think. Plentiful Props came up with the idea. He's like, could you tan yourself
mean,
with a
No.
Technically, why
No.
wouldn't?
Well,
the safety police is gonna be on my butt if I
Yeah.
try that.
You're gonna try that?
No, I don't think so.
I was gonna say that's a question for someone
Okay.
else to test out. No, you don't gotta
This
do
is-
that.
Dan was
it's-
like, "Let's do it," and I was like,
It's
Are
way
the
harsher
safety
on
rules.
your skin. So
Yeah.
UV resin is 405 nanometers, where tanning beds in normal sunlight is like 200. It's like 200, and there's a chart somewhere here.
Oh, so you're just gonna
It's like-
roast your skin?
Yeah, it's
it'll
like
be
laser light.
way worse for your like it will work, but it's way worse than
Probably
even a
gonna
tanning
give
bed.
skin cancer or something.
Yeah. Honestly,
Like,
yeah,
honest-
it's way harsher. Probably not a video you want to make.
Well, yeah, that's what Dan was like. Let's do it. I was
Yeah,
like, the
yeah.
safety police are gonna
It's-
be all over me unless we can get fake skin.
Like
I don't
there's
think you can do.
Go
can get-
get a
you
pig
can- you can
carcass
get
like on
cad-
MythBusters and just hang it in your garage
you can get
next to
cadaver.
the Ender 3.
You can get cadaver skin if you make the right calls and go to the
I'm
right
not
websites.
gonna do
can
that,
get-
but
Ew.
Do you want the views or
yeah,
not,
it's
Emily?
bad.
Come on.
Super. I wouldn't. Yeah, that's bad. Because there's a lot of debate over even tanning beds and the health
They
of
said
that,
that-
and all that.
they said that this morning, and I was like, oh no.
It will. It'll burn. If you put tanning oil or lotion on to help protect your skin a little bit, and then you like held it over for a minute or two, like you could definitely give yourself a tan line. If like you like covered up, like made a harsh line out of tape and like
Right.
covered up your.
Frank, stop
And then
giving
you-
recommendations for how people can test this, please.
Yeah,
God.
give me
No.
recommendations.
I
not-
lived in the sun for 4 years. I know a lot about UV and sunlight and tanning and all that crap because Kayla didn't want me getting skin cancer. So melanoma's real, folks.
If
Wear
I
tan
came
lotion.
out my knife video, I just posted the knife video, and then my next video was like burning yourself with UV light, and then my next video is like making my Iron Man suit bulletproof. People are gonna be like, "What's she doing?
She's preparing
What's she
for
doing? What's going
war."
on?"
Just watch this. In like a few years, you're gonna be like, hey, remember that spiral? Remember that girl Emily, the engineer? Yeah, remember her YouTube spiral? Yeah, eventually she she lost
This
it.
is
I
the
really
video taken moments before disaster.
Yeah, I really wanted to do the bulletproof video next, but then I was like, if I do it right after the knife one, people are gonna be like, "What's going on, Emily?" So I was like, maybe I'll push that back one, and I'll have a normal video in between the dangerous ones. Big brain.
So, real quick, I'm curious. Has anyone else here printed in ABS or no?
No.
Nope.
No. Good. You have an X1 carbon. Go buy some.
Yeah,
go buy
that's
some
out of
ABS.
commission
Oh,
right
that's
now.
Right. I forgot.
I feel
I forgot.
The
What happened?
the heated bed stopped heating up, and I think I took it's my favorite printer. I have to say, I'm gonna put it out there. It's my favorite printer. It was the most reliable one I
Did
have,
you keep
obviously,
the
when it's
box?
working. But when that
Apparently
thing
not.
breaks, dog, when that thing breaks, you
It-
have to take
it
that
breaks.
whole sucker apart.
Did-
I've got it it's in shambles on my desk right now, and I've been meaning to. I contacted
That's a
the guy
shame.
about it, and I think he's gonna send me a new cable. I think one of the
Oh,
cables got
interesting.
crimped up, and one of the connections got all jacked up.
That's
'cause I
a-
It's
tested
the
it with
best.
I tested
the
it with like
best
a
worst printer.
multimeter, and it's like from one end to the wire to the other end of the wire, it was not making the connection. I was like, well, that has to be it, right? So
Yeah.
Very,
I don't know,
Very specific
but-
question that I will give context to afterwards. For you Bamboo Lab owners, did you guys keep your boxes? Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Emily, did you?
I don't know.
Uh,
Oh no, I sent it off to Isaac.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The reason I asked
Why?
is because I'm surprised they said they're gonna send you the cable. From what I've been hearing online, there's been various people that have had similar issues with like a specific cable or something going out. Specifically with P1Ps, I think. Or actually, no, it was an X1 carbon. And the company said that it was easier to just replace the whole machine because of how intense it was to switch out the cable. And the guy that
Yep.
had the machine that was broken didn't have the original box. And so they were basically like, oh, well, it has to come like in the proper packaging. Otherwise, like, we can't ensure it's going to actually arrive safely. And so they were asking that he pay for a new machine. They would ship it to him, and then he ships back the old one, and then they refund him. And there was no other agreement that it sounded like. At the time of him posting that update, there was no other agreement, because he originally just asked for a cable as well, was my understanding. because he was able to identify whatever was wrong with it, but they just would not send just that cable. It sounded like they wanted to just replace the
Why
entire
would
machine.
just send him a box?
No, so
Just send him a.
remember the when I was FaceTiming you while I was doing it, when I was trying to get that cable out of that.
Yeah, you had to like tear that thing apart.
Yeah, that's probably what it was, because I spent a good probably 3 hours sitting there and it's just like connections on both sides, but the wire in the middle runs through the bracket that like holds the bed and up through these different holes and down, and it is the most complicated thing. It took me forever to get it out.
You said it looked
and
like
I have
it got,
no idea how I'm going to put a new one in, if I'm being completely honest.
You said it
with
looked
you.
like it got crimped together after it had already been fed through the assembly, right?
Right.
So,
it looked like it had been
not
like
a consumer level printer.
it was
Not a
like
hobby level printer.
not if
Oh,
if this
well, and
happens, but like it was like crimped up in the bed bracket. So I'm sure like as the bed's moving up and down, I mean this thing's getting pinched back and forth. It was pretty obvious, but like God, the way they have that wire routed, I'm about to actually, I think when I'm gonna cut part of that bracket off so I can easily slide the cable back in there.
What
and
has the
out.
support team said to you so far? They just said they'll send you a new cable. They haven't offered any other.
Okay, so part of it is me. I've been working on the suit so much recently. I haven't even gotten a chance. They said they'd send me a new cable. I just haven't gotten back to the guy. So this part is on me. It hasn't been my top priority, so I just haven't given him the information. I guess he needs some of the information from the printer, and I'm like, oh God, well I have to put it back together to get the information, and I don't feel like doing that right now because it's in shambles, and so part of that's on me. I just haven't had time to get the info he needs, but they said once I do that, he'll just send me a new cable. But I think I really am gonna like cut apart that bracket and try to make it sit in there.
That's intense.
Better. Yeah.
Is this the one guy in Texas who's in their tech support team or whatever? Who's?
I don't know.
I keep seeing everybody post and deal with the same guy.
No, I mean he's been fine so far. I don't know. He's been great. He's been nice. It's probably someone different. I don't know. This dude seems like a homie. But
yeah, I'm really hoping I guess a lot of the tech support stuff gets worked out. I feel like I just keep hearing random things about Bamboo. It's like I keep hearing how amazing the machines are, but I feel like they keep hitting all these random walls with stuff, and it's like,
right.
I
well,
mean,
like,
the machines seem
when they
genuinely
work,
impressive for the price point, especially the P1P. But yeah, I don't know. It seems weird that it sounds like they're almost just dropping the ball on a lot of other stuff, you know?
I feel like the P1P would be a lot easier to fix things on than the carbon too, with it being exposed and everything. The carbon, Doug, that back plate, it took me like an hour just to take the back plate off because I didn't realize like one of the things that feeds from the AMS, it feeds the filament in from the AMS, there's like another bracket on top of that, like that holds all the filament or like feeds it through, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta take this. Like it took forever to get to where I needed to get to. So
Interesting.
Have you had any issues with yours, Frank?
Aside from the firmware issue, I mean, no, it's been an okay printer. It's quick. It's definitely a quick, good printer. I like it, but I'm actually probably gonna film a video tomorrow for Saturday about, because I do think it is the right step, the step in the right direction for the future of 3D printing. I think they did that. They upset the market. However, it gave me problems. It does some weird stuff sometimes. It's still a $700 printer, and what other option? There's still other options. Yes, it's fast. It is very fast. Their slicer program is great, but the most non-user friendly program I have ever used out of any slicing software. It is confusing. It is not user friendly at all. If you don't know what you're looking at, you have no idea what you're looking at. Like, you just be clicking things and hoping you get a print to go off. The Wi-Fi is janky and works some of the time. and everything else I've just been like, I want to make a video about it, just address it. They never asked me to make any video about the thing. They just wanted feedback about it, so they're going to get feedback. It's a good addition to an arsenal for sure, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. For quick prints, yeah. Like, oh, I need this thing printed now. Yeah, oh, it is the printer. It is the go-to, you know. I need this now. It's fairly reliable. I figured out the firmware issue. They updated some stuff, and I'm just exporting as G-code now.
How long was that faceplate that you printed? 'Cause you printed that
6
on
or 7 hours.
right? 6 or 7 hours.
It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing printed both of my hands in 6 hours. 2 hands.
Yeah.
I have a hand. I
That's
have a hand
that's
file on it
literally
right now.
twice as fast as the 5 pluses that I've run for stuff. It's like, yeah, my average faceplate is like 11 to 13 hours depending on like layer height.
It's a good
stuff
printer.
like that. So
But they definitely they weren't ready for the reception of the X1, and then when the feedback people were giving was it's too expensive and out of our price range, so they stripped it down and pushed out the P1P, and they clearly did that way too fast because they still haven't fixed the issues with the X1, clearly, and now they have a stripped down cheaper version, so they've widened their customer base and market, but they couldn't even keep up with the issues with the X1, and now they have a whole new machine. Granted, they're basically the same machine, just one has less parts, but I think they grew too fast. It looks like Creality all over again. That's what I'm already seeing. They hit the market, people are eating it up. Oh my god! And it's just the opposite. It's, oh, look how you could get one for $700. It's so great. I don't know. We're gonna see what's their third printer gonna look like. Is it just gonna be a bigger printer, or is it gonna
says
be
they need a
the
third
P2P? What's up?
I tell you what,
who
it should
says
have,
they need a third one? There's plenty of companies that have only ever done 2.
They
Yeah,
need
that's
to
fair.
have somehow. I like the enclosed part of it. They need to keep it enclosed, but keep all the inner workings of it. So it's got to be so much more easily accessible. You know, I mean, there's got to be. I honestly, I
Or-
wouldn't even give a crap. I would not care if it had a separate control box, like a CR10. You know, like if everything was enclosed and it had a little mini control box on the side that did all the, you know, so I'm not having to tear the whole thing to shreds. I mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
care.
I mean, 99% of the market wouldn't want that though.
Yeah.
It's the all-in-one appeal. The fact that it's a $1,500 printer and it already has a busted cable, that's the problem. Has nothing to do with the ease of having to fix it.
Well,
That's why you buy
mean-
an Ender. You know, that's why you buy a cheap hobby level printer, because it is easy to fix. Even
Yeah,
though I
mean,
have
the
that.
cable
that,
is
that
like, the cable is like, it looks like, because a lot of other people are having this problem too. It goes out, or after the printer moves up and down so
Yeah.
much to crimp it to a certain amount. I mean, everyone's is going out like, I feel like about a month
That's-
or 2 in, which
we'll see. Because I should have the same cable theoretically. It should still be. It should be. We'll see how it is.
it's like a 6-spin.
That sucks.
I think it's a 6-spin cable. I think it is. I don't know what else it would be if not, and if they send me a new one and that's not what it fixes. I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, I do. I have a meeting at 3. Okay. Boogers. Okay. Neat. Thanks, Google. Printers, PLA, props.
Yeah, I'm still reeling that Kira has only ever printed in standard PLA. But that does go to show though, everyone's circumstances for why they would want to choose something over another is different. It's like, I personally don't think, as someone that does cons in California, that I could do a full suit in standard PLA. When I did Vader's suit, I printed his helmet in standard PLA, and in the 2 to 3 days of shooting that we did, we were out in direct sunlight. The temperature ranged from 70 to 90 degrees. His helmet warped apart. The faceplate did not fit on the helmet by the time it was done, even with paint and clear
Nice.
coat and everything else.
It's because the Midwest is built different.
It's built cold.
We're built cold, strong. We have strong skin and strong PLA.
Strong skin.
Strong like bull. Yeah, it's situational, right? If your props are never leaving your house, if they're for display, if they're on the shelf, PLA's fine. If you live in Florida or Texas and you're going to be at MegaCon all the time and you're going to be in the sunlight, maybe look at a PETG. You know, it's absolutely situational. But then seeing, one prop break because somebody you have no idea how they printed it. It could have been their first prop and they got a little ballsy and it broke. I mean, it doesn't make a material bad. There's definitely ways to reinforce and also reinforce prints. Yeah, I printed this whole thing in PLA and threw some metal rods through it. Cool, good. Like, you can do that too.
I feel like
Strength.
I feel like a lot of people. So I feel like 2020 was very much the beginning of like a period where 3D printing, at least on the maker side of it, like how people used printing, changed pretty drastically. For a variety of reasons, from new machines coming out, like the 5 Plus, upgraded CR10s, other companies throwing their hats in the ring, as well as just like more information being put out there, more files being accessible, everything else. But I feel like we're slowly approaching almost a new point of people are getting used to how we did stuff even just 3 years ago, that some of it might not apply. And whether it's an assumption about a material or a process or anything
Some
like
of it?
that. Huh?
Some of it? A lot of it.
Well,
yeah.
I'm trying not to generalize, but yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's
You're right,
a
you're
lot
right.
of stuff. And some of it is, I think, ideas that were around for a long time that are, just kind of randomly starting to resurface. Like I saw like a 40 comment thread on a post on Facebook because someone asked whether when you buy a spool, it's 1 kilogram including the plastic spool or not. How are we still asking that? How is that still a conversation? Like that doesn't make
People don't know.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
People don't know, dude. If my story replies every time I post something about a printer or a prop or anything to go by, people just don't know. Like,
What do you think is the best way to get people to know? As bunch of people that got into this before there was honestly all that much to get into it, I feel like we kind of knew pretty quickly that we would have to work to find out info. But I feel like a lot of people make assumptions now about how easy or difficult it's going to be because there's way more stuff out there. So I don't know. What's some advice everybody has for people that are getting into this, I guess. I feel like I should
Save
read that
yourself
message I
your
sent to the group
fingertips
chat.
and don't get into it because you're just gonna sand your fingertips off. Sorry, I'm just a little triggered right now because I've been sanding for the past week.
Kiera, what were you saying before?
I was just gonna say, watch YouTube videos, like Frankly Built on YouTube.
That guy sucks.
Yeah.
Hey,
That
I
guy's
know
a-
this
that
guy.
guy's He's a trash panda. I don't know how you get people like, yeah, obviously research, but like, you can't put all the information in one video, even though some people want you to. Like, oh, you didn't explain every single bit of this, and how am I supposed to know how to slice the file that I downloaded from Thingiverse when you showed the file you downloaded, and they're different, and yeah, people just don't friggin' know or understand. But it's also the willingness to want to learn. Like, people get the printer and they know they have to level the bed. Yeah, that's it. Okay, level your bed, cool. But they don't know what that means. Like, they don't know.
They assume it's an appliance, not a tool.
Yeah, and
feel like that's
it's
it.
not going away. And I think things like the P1P and the X1 are going to make it worse because people are seeing the amazing results people are having. Oh, I can get this plug and play. Look how fast it prints. Oh my God. And then it breaks. And then they say what you want about that CRM4, that $1,000 printer. I already know that it's going to be, if something breaks on it, it's pretty easy to fix. It's still a Creality machine. Turn it on its side. There's the main board. It's all, there's nothing crazy complicated about it. It's not, but I don't know. People are getting real comfortable in the hobby, but companies aren't delivering that level of comfort. I don't know.
So I'm gonna just read the message that I sent in the group chat the other day, just because I feel like it's relatively good advice for people that are getting into this. The first thing you make will not be perfect. You'll need to actively work, at least when it comes to making a suit or something. If you're trying to make anything big, you need to actively work not to hate it if you go in with false expectations. if you already have, or you probably already have unrealistic expectations, and if you don't think you do, you're probably lying to yourself. Mistakes will happen, a lot of them. That's how you learn. Never go straight into a massive project. Take on a bunch of small ones, make your small mistakes before you go into something insane. Shut up, Frank. Yeah.
I was about to say, don't listen to us then. 'Cause
Yeah,
All of us are
we're-
just like,
all of us are like, first project, Iron Man
we
suit.
suffered so people don't have to. That's what I keep yelling at, like,
we
Brittany. I'm like,
ran
ask
You
the
know what?
question.
I'm gonna say it. Go big
fair.
or go home. What did Tony
No.
Stark say? You gotta
Literally.
run before you can walk. All right?
You did not
just
just
go
quote
for it.
Iron Man on me.
Yeah, I did. Hey, I've been sitting in my garage for like 12 hours a day sanding and watching like 3 MCU movies per day while I'm sanding,
Okay,
so
well,
I've
here,
got them
here,
all right.
let me rephrase it then. If you're gonna go big, don't also cram, because that was the next comment after ask for help. Is
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
finishing a suit, especially your first one,
Yes.
in time for a convention is not the same as finishing a suit for the first time on your own time and actually being able to get the best quality out of it. And I feel like as we've all con crunched and we've all sat at looking at our suits after con crunch being like, I'm better than this. Why did it come to this? I could have done this different or this different. And I feel like it's always important to remember that, like, yeah, the reason, Frank was able to make a suit that looks as good as it does as his first big project is he didn't make it in 2 months for a convention. He made it on his own time and then was like, oh, I think I can have it finished in time for this convention. But, like, Frank, how long did you spend on your first suit? Like 6 or 9 months, something like that?
I'm still not done. with
Shut
it.
up, Frank.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yes.
Up to
okay.
your
I
first
might be one of the
big
few people to say this, and go ahead and clip this if you want to cancel me. Thank God for COVID, because I was getting geared up to, right? I was getting geared up to
The
fail.
soundboard.
I was, right?
Soundboard.
Thank God for COVID.
Thank God for COVID.
Thank God for COVID. Yeah. So yeah, I was on track to try to get the suit done. I started the suit October 2019. I was trying to go to MCM Comic Con London in May of 2022. And it was like February, March, and I was nowhere. I think I had everything painted. I still couldn't wear it properly. The electronics weren't done. The faceplate wasn't motorized. It was a disaster. And then COVID started to happen, and MCM got canceled. And then I think around May or June, I did the Comic-Con at home thing, and I put the suit on really, and like it had so many problems. Like it photographed okay, I was happy with the photos, but like I could not have worn that thing to a con. It would have been a absolute nightmare. So, but yeah, it was about a year of work. And things break. And that's something else I think people definitely don't talk about when building their suits is these are wearable items. You are not going to make a suit that just you can put on whenever you feel like it and wear it a dozen times a year and everything go great. Shit's gonna break. Shit's gonna wear down. Wires are gonna pinch and crimp because this isn't NASA grade technology. It's some dumbass in his room with a soldering iron and heat shrink. Like, you're gonna have broken wires. You're gonna drop stuff. You're gonna break stuff.
You're gonna have to ask a friend to tape your cod piece back on while nobody's looking.
Thank God for your friend who, when you're walking through a con, is just looking at your junk and notices that. We're still going to talk about that, by the way, one day, Danny. And is, can tape your cod piece back on, and things are going to break. They're plastic. Like, and if you try to completely over-engineer the suit, like, I want this to be the best Iron Man suit, and I want it to be perfect, and I'm going to have all these crazy connections they're going to work for. It's going to take you years. You're never going to finish, and you're going to give up on the project. How many?
Well, dang,
That
Frank.
sounded
What?
really-
Yeah, I was
Way
gonna
to
say,
bring
damn,
us down
right
like
at
that.
Kiera. Right at Kiera.
Hello?
She's been so passive this episode and just went straight for the throat.
No, I'm not
This
talking
This whole
about her.
episode is just discouraging people
I'm not
from this
talking
hobby.
about her.
Stop watching
I'm not-
now. It's to click off now.
She-
We're just discouraging you. Actually, go do something. I don't know.
You finished your suit. Yours went fine. And I'm talking about how many I know for a fact we've all gotten sent photos of, hey, I'm building this suit. Hey, I'm trying to build it this way. And like, you already know, this person is not going to be able to build that way, but you don't really want to say it. You're like, it's a cool idea, but either you're not going to finish this suit. the amount of DMs and message chains that have gone dead from people building suits. They just never finish them because they start to realize how hard it is. You know, they get everything printed and they're happy, and they put an arm on in a mirror and they're like, this looks great. But then they start fitting everything to their body, and then they realize, wow, this is actually really hard to move in. It's uncomfortable. Like, it's hard work. I think it's a lot harder work than people think, because they see our suits. They see, oh, I just need to get a 3D printer and follow a couple tutorials and I'll get there, right? And I don't think any of us would ever want to paint that picture to anybody, right?
No,
It's
it's
hard.
Every person that I've gotten or like helped get into all of this, it is a process. It is not easy. There's skill sets you need to pick up. There's multiple sides of it. There's you can know.
How many people do you think give up? How many people who start printing anything beyond a helmet? Helmets are easy. They start printing they start with the prospect of making a suit. What percentage of them do you think never actually finish? I think like 95%.
I was thinking like 70, but
I was gonna say at least half. So I don't know.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
I mean, even just as far as printing itself goes, I'd say probably at least a third of everyone that buys a printer never ends up actually doing any of the stuff they want with it, because of whatever reason. They can't get it to work right, or this or that, And there's a lot of people that only end up going, like, if we take into consideration the amount of people that would have eventually tried to make that kind of stuff had they got printing down, yeah, I'd say like half if not more of everyone that gets into this type of stuff never ends up seeing it through, and a big part of that is usually just unrealistic expectations going into it.
Kiera,
I think one thing that I wish I had permanently posted on my account, I don't think it's up there, is that one video of me standing in my kitchen and crying in my Iron Man suit, because that build pushed me so far, and I had like crazy expectations for myself, and then you put things on and you're like, this doesn't look right, and it's like that feeling of like, oh shit, like I should give up, like I suck.
Yeah.
And
how am I
think
gonna?
A lot of people don't realize that so many of us like deal with that. And I remember posting that the first time. I don't remember when I did it. I think it was during the Mark 42 build, but I posted it on my story, and I was like, hey, like this is the reality of these kinds of things. Like, even people like us, like we have like breakdowns over this stuff. Like, it's not easy for us.
What do you mean?
Even though it seems like we do it all the time, and like we have things together, we definitely don't.
Compromises.
For every really cool looking suit reveal that any of us have posted, there's been probably at least one like stressful, if not like breakdown, just like freak out of like, oh my god, it's not gonna be good, or it's not gonna get done. I literally had it the other night. I had one this week, and it was because this chest piece. It was because this chest piece and this fun little top half of it. Between that and this chest piece, I have had 9 failed prints that failed over a day into the prints in the past 2 weeks, and that just like killed me. But yeah, not everyone shares that kind of stuff, and so it's easy to see like, oh whoa, chest piece, and then that's it. Everyone's chill. I know Frank's got to get going here in a second, so. We can.
No, I might have a little bit more time. I'm gonna send a text. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. I want to be respectful of your time, at least publicly. Privately, I don't really care.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Kiera, question.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and redo anything on your Mark 42, because I think that was this build that like really affected you the most, right? With just how much work and everything you put into it. Would you, or what would you say? What would be your most stressful build? The 6?
That's a really hard
she
one,
just got
because-
used to the stress with the 6.
No,
I-
because they were both like different animals. Like, the Mark 42 was a challenge in itself, because I was trying to do something that was like
Never done.
different at the time, like the whole exoskeleton idea, and like designing a suit like by yourself
Yeah.
was a whole different thing. But then the Mark 6 was another challenge, because I gave myself like I did more than half of the suit in like basically a month. And
Yeah.
that was like a whole different. If I could change that, I would not give myself a month. But obviously, I feel like though if I did something different for the Mark 42, it either would have been. I don't know. I think I would have ditched the exoskeleton idea.
So you don't think
Honestly.
it was worth it in the end?
No, it hurt me, and
It
like
physically
like
hurt
physically,
you.
yes, scars, blood drawn, yes.
yeah,
hurt
it
you.
was stabbing me. I couldn't walk. It made it look fat. Like, it didn't work the way I wanted it to. I learned a lot, but like if I could go back, I would prefer to have a Mark 42 that I could still wear and have, and you know, actually be proud of. Because eventually I'm going to go back. That's my favorite. Yeah, it's regret that I didn't do it the way that I wanted it to be done. If that makes sense, or it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be, which is kind of hard to rationalize because it was like my first 3D printed suit and like my first time tackling something to that scale. So, yeah, kind of going back to what you said, like don't go in with like unrealistic expectations. Which is what I did.
Did want to give an update. I have some stuff I'll share with you guys really quickly after this ends. But first, for everyone, because a lot of people were asking about the rocket after the last podcast episode. For everyone that was asking about
It's
the rocket
cool.
that I have had the really cool opportunity to work on, I will be sharing the link. I'll probably be putting the link in the description of this video for the live stream. The launch is going to be on Wednesday. Very, very soon, this upcoming Wednesday. I think that's the 8th. It's either the 8th or the 9th. And it will be launching at some point between 1 and 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that's the launch window. But I'll be posting about it on my story. I'll be sharing it everywhere I can. I'll probably make an actual dedicated post to it. But yeah, very exciting, very stressful. The first 3D printed rocket in history. Hopefully it'll go to space with no problems, but we'll see for that.
We're going to space.
But yeah, we are probably gonna see whether we can do. I think it'd be fun to do a live stream Idiots episode at some point during WonderCon, kind of like how we did the live stream from.
We need to.
I think we did a live stream. Was it Emily's phone at Silicon or WonderCon?
Yeah, I think it was on
whenever
mine.
it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably do something like that, which will be.
I'll
fun.
have my whole camera and screen and laptop set up too. I'm bringing that all to WonderCon so we can.
Perfect.
We'll have the gear.
Yeah. So let's see. WonderCon's what, 3 weeks away? Yeah. So the next.
Oh
next,
my god.
Yeah.
Don't say
Panic!
that.
Panic!
Oh no.
Panic!
No, wait.
Frank,
No.
why are you freaking out? This is not your suit. Yours is painted.
That's fair. Okay.
Panic!
That's fair.
But all right. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Look out for more updates, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeet.
Eat a skeeter.